Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Press. We're reaching you live from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to our analysis for today. As our guest on the show this morning is Richard Oriri, a journalist. It's good to have you on the show again.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
And to add to that, he is a member, he's a candidate of the SDP in the forthcoming elections into the Benue State House of Representatives.
House of Assembly.
House of Assembly. Adeniyi State constituency. Yes. Very good luck on that.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, now let's go straight to the headline this morning. Vanguard newspaper says Tinubu bids to form government of national unity. And the writers to that story say Southeast, South being considered for Senate presidency to provide direction for zoning of speakership and others. Meeting sensitive to religious balancing. Gbajabiamila tipped as chief of staff. That's coming from Governor El-Rufai and the SGF. Then Tinubu support groups root for Betara as speaker. Now you have a lot of people. Now they have their people that they're bringing out, they're gunning for, just like you have in when you finish writing jam, you have people that will come out and tell you that, oh, this is my candidate and this is my candidate. So everybody has their own candidate. And before you came up, when we were reading the papers, Francis said something about saying that a lot of people have their candidates, and then because being the support group, the PCC, the ICC, as long as you helped during the electioneering process, bringing this person on board, you will definitely have something that you're expecting to get in return. So what are your thoughts on this? And they're saying that they started putting names to who becomes the next Senate president, who becomes the next chief of staff. What are your thoughts on that?
Good morning, Nigerians. I have no different thoughts about it, because from the very day that Asiwaju was declared the winner of the presidential election, I know even before that day, if he had it in mind that he was going to win, you will already have his first 11 that will start the government with him. And chief of staff, I think, is one of the positions, the offices that he will first make the pronouncement of who occupies the office. And like the Senate presidency and all of that, this man from the Southeast, you know, the moment from 1999, you can even look at it from then. In 1999, when Obasanjo became the president, the Senate presidency was zoned to the Southeast. And the same way it is going to be now. And those are things, you know, politicians, a very good politician, you read in between the line. And people from the Southeast positions themselves for that, especially those of them who were rooting for Tinubu from the beginning of the election. They were rooting for it, and that was one of the reasons you see somebody like Orji Kalu withdrew, and he threw his weight behind Tinubu, because he saw that
so he actually saw it coming.
He saw that Tinubu was going to make it from the primary, and he has to position himself for that. And that was why he went for senatorial election. And to God be the glory, he succeeded. And now he's seeing himself possibly as the next president, because Tinubu always pay good for good. And for the chief of staff of 18, I overheard somebody saying Gbajabiamila had been tipped for chief of staff. I know he went for his election as a rep member, and he won. And despite he won, if Tinubu still want to make him his chief of staff, he can still make him his chief of staff, because he has paid his dues. And he proved to be a very loyal politician. But chief of staff office is not office that you just give to children. Yes, he has been Speaker of the House, and he knows more of politics. He knows as well, he's a technocrat as well. But that position, I think Tinubu have to look inward as well. Again, he has to look inward. Because chief of staff, if Tinubu really want to succeed, he should pick somebody that has no pride. He should pick somebody whose whose interest, personal interest, will not override the national interest.
Okay. But they call him the kingmaker. So don't you believe in that ability of him picking the right person, regardless of loyalty?
They call who the kingmaker?
Tinubu, the kingmaker.
He's a nationalist. Tinubu is a nationalist. From the beginning of his political journey, right from before he became a governor of Lagos State, and when he became governor of Lagos State, if you look through his cabinet selection, your cabinet members selection, you will see quite well that he's a nationalist. You see Igbos in his cabinet. You see people from different states of the federation in his cabinet. He wasn't seeing people who work with him as people that must come from his own domain. He looked beyond his circle, and that positioned him to be a true nationalist. And coming on board as president of Nigeria, I am not seeing that as a surprise if Tinubu says he's going to form a government of national unity.
All right, now, Mr. Richard, let's look at Tinubu from the point of being a nationalist. Now, we all understand that it's one thing to emerge victorious in an election, and it's also another thing to be able to manage the post-election situation, such as appointments and into key offices and key roles in that new administration. But then, how well do you see Tinubu, the president-elect now, and the presidential campaign council now? How well do you see them managing a scenario whereby they have to deal with some crisis, internal party crisis, or some aggrieved parties? Probably they are not getting what they had envisaged, due to their the level of contribution they made to the emergence of the new president-elect.
The president-elect, that Tinubu, Tinubu, he has a lot to do in terms of appointment. He has over 1,000 appointments to make as a president, and he is a well-refined politician. He's a well-refined politician. He respects party politics. He respects party position, and he equally respects national matters. And bringing other people outside his party on board to help him, to assist him build a government, position the country in a way that almost, if it is not all, 60 to 65% of Nigerians or the world will see that yes, this government is starting from a very right direction. He will not be clouded by party issue. I know some of his party members who stood for him from the beginning. They weren't doing that for the purpose of just doing it. They were doing it because they need position. And he will always have that at the back of his mind. And those who merit positions from within his party, he will equally consider them. But outside his party as well, he will still pick good brains, better qualified persons, citizens of this country outside his party circle that will assist him in rebuilding the country, because he's an elderly man, and as a statesman, he knows very well what the problem of the country is today. And if there are things he has done in the past, as a citizen and as an elder statesman that has placed him in a way that some Nigerians and outside the country, they are looking at him from a very negative position. He will use this opportunity if he really get to right his wrongs. And from the build up to the primary and the general election, he knows what Nigerians are truly yearning for. And for that purpose, I think himself, others may come around him to see how they will push their interests above what he wants to do for Nigerians. But I believe strongly that Tinubu will do his best to ensure that he's not being pushed to the wall by his party members.
All right, because you talked about pushing others coming to push their interest, before we let that story go, okay, viewers, this is to remind you that our phone lines are open. You can call in to make your contributions or ask your questions. Now, I recall having a conversation with, in one of our sister programs, the conversation with the Ohaneze Ndibu president in Abuja, and he stated, he was quoted as saying that the mistake Igbos and they as a group made was when they actually rooted for Jonathan, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, instead of President Muhammadu Buhari. So they, until today, are still paying for that mistake that they made, because they rooted for an Igbo man. And then since that time, according to him, he said the appointments have been lopsided. There have been so much nepotism and favoritism, and even before you came in, we were also talking about it. So it's like they're saying that because we rooted for an Igbo man like us, and then President Muhammadu Buhari came and said, I can't leave those that supported me and come to pay back to those who did not support me. So they suffered the ripple effect. So do you see this also happening in this now that you have Tinubu as the president-elect? Before you take that, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Raimi from Abuja.
Raimi, good to hear from you. All right, go ahead. The floor is open.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning.
The guest in the house.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of being Nigerian. To some extent, I feel like if I have my way, I should just take my family home. But am I advising Nigerians on the negative side? No, I'm talking about the reality. Back in 2007, when the late Yaradua came into the government, late Yaradua confessed that the election that brought him.
Oh, I think we lost that call. Call us back if you can. All right, please go ahead.
Like what you said, if you look at politics generally, you will see that there is no sentiment in politics. A true politicians have nothing to do with sentiment. And it was as a result of that we moved from open ballot system, that is option A4, to secret ballot system. Because the negative effect of it, of open ballot system, is that you know very well who stood for you. And once you win your election, the communities, the individuals who stood against you, you will equally pay back. And now that we are operating secret ballot system, no more option A4. Option A4, you queue behind the candidate of your choice, and you have no hidden place, because the other person you are voting against will see your face, we know where you come from, your family, your community. That leads sometimes to assassination and too many things. Your community will even be abandoned by the person that won the election. Now we are operating secret ballot system. The foolish ones always take their support on their nose like pig. And it hurts so much. 2015, yes, the Igbos stood for Jonathan. They stood for Jonathan, and that was so glaring. And that is why when Buhari succeeded, he has to equally take along those people, those communities, those regions that stood for him. But as a true nationalist, I want to advise that Tinubu did not toe on that line.
All right, let's quickly take this call. We'll continue on that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, good morning. This is Mr. Ake. I'm calling from Lagos State.
Mr. Ake from Lagos State. Good to hear from you. Go ahead. In 60 seconds, let's hear you.
Okay. So, I just want to contribute to what Mr. Richard is trying to explain here. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right. The issue of participating in contributing to the success of Tinubu or not, you know, when Buhari was to be elected, it was one mistake anyway. I don't want to call it mistake that the party always do. You know, I don't know whether I should call it mistake or whatever, but the fact is that we should understand that as a politician, right where you get more contribution from, you tend to satisfy them first. Though it is wrong, okay? But you tend to satisfy them first before even considering other aspects. And I want to believe that is what happened when Buhari was to be elected in 2019. And that template repeated itself. But I want to believe Tinubu will use wisdom this time around in order not to deprive the Southeast of chances. But at the National Assembly, I don't know how the South and the Southeast are going to play it out in terms of Senate presidency, because definitely the South contributed immensely for Tinubu as compared to what comes from the Southeast. So Southeast, I don't know. They have to play the politics there, but South is in the forefront in that aspect. Then lastly, like he was trying to explain the other time that when Tinubu comes in, I know a lot is going on in the brain of Tinubu now. But I had that during the campaign, he said he's going to remove subsidies. So my own humble suggestion is that based on how we are now in Nigeria, the economic crisis and other things like that, I think before the issue of removal of subsidies comes in, there should be a kind of orientation, because if Nigerians are not oriented on the effect, because definitely is going to bring some effect. And also, when this subsidy removal is done, how is it going to get the real people who are going to implement it, okay, and the other sectors? These are the issues. So that's my suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very well said, Mr. Ake from Lagos. Go ahead, please. Ponder your thoughts.
So, just like he said, the Southeasterners, they always play the game against themselves. You know, in politics, you have to read through the line where you see that the prospects of who become what, when, and how is clear. You need to, as well, try to mend fence. But they always take their chest all out, positioning their position in a way that everyone will know where they stand. And in this election, but in any way, I don't see Tinubu penalizing the Southeast because of what they have done. Because one, our brother Obi has contributed in Tinubu's winning this election.
How do you mean?
He contributed in making Tinubu to succeed this election by the contest he went into. You know, the three of them that contested for this position against Tinubu, they contested the position against themselves. Obi, a PDP person, Atiku, a PDP person,
former PDP,
Kwankwaso, a PDP person. They are all PDP.
Former PDP.
They are all PDP. They contested the position against themselves. So they helped Tinubu by dividing their house. And in dividing their house, they make it so easy for him to ride on the horse. And today he has succeeded. So Tinubu and Obi, they are not enemies. And what the Igbos have done for their brothers, it's not just that they did it for Obi or anything. It's a kind of a making statement. They came all out to make statement. We are qualified to be president of this country, and that is what they have done. Me as a person, in fact, I like their courage. But that Tinubu should not look at, because no matter what, he has good number of votes from the Southeast as well. So the people who voted for him from the Southeast, they are Nigerians. So you should consider them.
All right, let's take this call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead, Raimi.
Thank you. First, let me say that the just concluded election is a shame. Having spent over 300 billion naira, and this is the result we got. It's a big shame. A very big one. And I think it will be another disaster if, as a nation, we cannot penalize anybody in this process after the whole thing must have been done. Because you cannot just take our money, do whatever you like with it, give us whatever you like, and expect us to accept it. What has been given to us is nothing but fraud. You have cheated, the INEC and the entire government, or this current government, have cheated on Nigerians, and they have to pay for it. Yes, people are saying that the Southeasterners always go on one side. If you ask me, they are the best as far as I'm concerned. Why? Because they look at the whole scenario and feel, oh, this is the right thing. Whether you like it or not, we are going for the right thing. Count us as enemy, it does not matter. And the same thing they stand for is the same thing the Middle Belt stand for, which I belong. We believe that the right thing should be done if Nigeria has to remain. Look at the security challenge we are facing right now. I just saw on your newspapers that you displayed, over 40 people were killed within Katsina, Kaduna, and Ebonyi State. These are states controlled by APC. These are states that they have APC at the center. What have they given to us that they want themselves forced back into this government? If not evil.
All right.
May God help us.
Amen.
But as far as I'm concerned, I think everybody should have second option.
Thank you so much, Raimi, calling us from Abuja.
All right, now, Mr. Richard, let's move on to other stories. Like we already know, it's no longer news now that the cash crunch is still biting really hard. And just last week, the Supreme Court delivered a judgment maintaining that the old 500 naira and the 1,000 naira note remains valid till December 31st, 2023. But then we all know that the old notes and the new notes, they're still very, very hard to find in the hands of Nigerians now, meaning that the federal government and the CBN are yet to comply with the ruling of the Supreme Court. In some states of the federation, the state governors have come out to beg the citizens that you can return to using the old notes. But then the citizens, mostly business owners, have maintained that until there is a statement from the federal government, either the federal government, either the president, or the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, that they will not accept the old notes as a means of payment. As it is now, this is the federal government disobeying the Supreme Court order. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't see this federal government disobeying the Supreme Court order.
Okay, so let's quickly take this call. That's where you stopped. You don't see them disobeying. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Just turn down the volume of your TV.
Hello?
Okay, I think I have to let you go. Turn down the volume of your TV set before you call. Go ahead.
I don't see the federal government disobeying the Supreme Court order because the same government is built under the law. They cannot disobey it. What I have seen happening today is that the money that the Supreme Court have ordered that should be used, they are not available. And they are not available because Nigerians went all out to take back those old currencies to the central bank through the other banks, commercial banks. They are the one in custody of this old naira notes. And until they push it back into the economy, we will not have access to them.
But then they refuse to push it back
the Supreme Court have done the right thing. I envisage that from the beginning, because no matter what happens, public interest will always override any other interest. And if you look at what happened from the beginning, you will see that the masses were the ones suffering these anomalies that come from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And the Supreme Court, they are there. The court is there to righting the wrongs. The judiciary, the executive, they have come up with their own policies. The policy of cashless, that they have no plan from the initial stage that they can manage.
But my point now is, you have said the commercial banks are not having these old notes. There is not in circulation because the central bank have
not pushed it back into the economy.
But now there's a judgment from the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, that said this old notes
can be used.
Remains valid till
if you have it, you can use it.
So what stops the
do you have the old note, the 1,500, and you want to make use of it, and somebody is refusing to accept it?
Definitely, no one is accepting the old notes as a means of payment right now. So a simple press release by the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria would put an end to all of this confusion, because most Nigerians are still confused as to the Supreme Court has ruled, the federal government has not said.
You know, the central bank governor has really proven to be an appendage of somebody. He's not there to serve Nigerians. He's there to serve a personal interest of someone. No, he will wait until the particular person he's serving give him the directive to releasing that statement. Okay, you can go ahead to see it's legal tender. It's just to make that statement. It's legal tender. Anybody who has the old 1,000 note and 500 naira note, you can use it, and banks should receive it. But he will never come out to say that until the person he's serving order him to do so. And now that the person have not ordered him to do so, that's why he's silent. So that shows clearly that he's not there to serve Nigerians.
So it's not a tussle between the government and the Supreme Court, the CBN, the President, and the Supreme Court?
And just to add to that, it also means, from what you have said now, it means there are some interests that can supersede the judgment that the
interest, no individual, nobody, not even the government. What makes Buhari becomes president under the law? Attorney General becomes Attorney General under the law. They are all under the law. The Supreme Court judgment stands as it is. And as you see, if I have the old man, I don't have the old 1,000 note, and I don't have the old 500. No, you can implement it. You're a citizen. You mustn't wait for them. If I have the old 1,000 note, I can drive to any filling station and allow them to put. Do you have car? Yes. Put fuel in my car. You will put fuel. You want to fill my tank, I will give you the old note. Let me see if you reject it. If you reject it, I drive off. Nothing you can do to me. As it is now, that Supreme Court ruling stands, and it is law. You cannot body, not even Buhari can change it.
All right, let's quickly take this call before you continue. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, I'm Sebastian, calling from Onitsha.
All right, Sebastian from Onitsha. Go ahead. You have 60 seconds. Your mic is on.
Okay. All right. The gentleman sitting with you people there, I don't know the party is contesting from. What he's saying there is not speaking the right thing. The government of the day are the Supreme Court. They are ruling right from their house, not from the center. God remove Nnamdi Kanu from detention. They hold him there. God, we should start using the old Naira note. The central bank governor and the president remain quiet. And they are waiting for the order from the president. He is now saying that if he has the whole naira note, he should go to the bank are giving that money, and they don't receive it back. If you go to the bank will give you that money. And if you take it to the market, they will not collect. If you take it back to the bank will refuse. And they will tell you that if you withdraw this money, don't bring it back. So I don't understand what is he talking about.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution.
As a Nigerian, let me talk to the last caller. As a Nigerian, all of us will operate under the law. If the court give directive that Nnamdi Kanu should be released, and the government is still holding him, that one is a different thing. We have
what makes it different?
No, what makes it different is that it's not within your reach to bring him out of the hand. But if we can come all out, him as a person, and bring in other persons who really want to implement the law, and come together, you can take over, you can even make this country government ungovernable for the person who is trampling on our rights.
How much has it?
You understand? But the problem we are having in Nigeria is that we like to complain.
But then
all the time.
Are you talking
like
about
this?
the place of morals now, in terms of we as citizens, we can implement
We have the power to implement this law that
are
is
you talking from a
happen.
place of moral, or you are talking from a place of strict adherence to the rule of law? Because there is a standing order from the Supreme Court here that this old naira notes remains valid till December.
Who will implement it? The implementation is buying and selling with the old currency.
But then the implementation should start first.
From where?
From where the policy came from.
Implementation is you. Who implements the law? It's the executive that implements the law. But the judiciary have done their own by the pronouncement of the Supreme Court.
And then the executive are not implementing this. What happens?
If they are not implementing it, they are serving you. You are the one who made them to be there. So if the Nigerians want, we can take. See, in 2005, let's not forget. In 2005, I was in second year or third year in the university. In Lebanon, the opposition leader in Lebanon was assassinated. You know what happened? The citizens of Lebanon, they took over the country, accusing the sitting government as being responsible for the assassination of the opposition leader. They took over the country, made the country ungovernable for the president until he resigned his position as president.
Nigerians,
you like, even if somebody is rubbing you shit in your dose, you will even say thank you. We don't stand.
The kind of the crowd that you saw in this last election, you still think that Nigerians are that kind of people?
No, they went non-violent. And what I'm saying is still in the aspect of non-violence. Nigeria went all out to exercise their right to the ballot. And it was glaring. But in this case of implementation, you have to take the implementation by yourself.
All right.
You take, as I have told you, if you have old 1,000 note, old 500 note, bring it to me. I will implement the pronouncement of the Supreme Court myself.
So you're technically,
as I am advising Nigerians to implement it.
Our time is fast spent, but you're technically saying now that if the Supreme Court has given a judgment, the federal government are not.
It's binding on everybody.
Citizens can.
Who is federal government? Who is Supreme Court?
Okay then.
I think we should just leave it at that. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Do not wait for them.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, please. Sorry, I'm calling on the press. I just want to wish. Sorry, I'm not for the program, but I just want to wish Annabel, Orji, the gang, a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Annabel.
Oh, thank you so much.
Happy birthday. Wish you long life. Yes, to you.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really. That was an
We are fond of complaining in Nigeria.
Hello,
we are fond of complaining.
Good morning. Okay, so
Annabel, Mr. Echa, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. In as much as we still have a lot of issues to talk about, but our time has played a fast one on us. Possibly we'll be glad to have you again some other time for us to rub minds together. And
I will always be available.
Okay, thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Annabel, you're about to talk about the social media, but I'm going to double cross you.
Oh no.
Because yeah, I'm going to double cross you because earlier on the program I talked about today as a super exciting Monday. You want to know why today is a super exciting Monday? Okay. We start this way. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Annabel.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Annabel. Today is Annabel's birthday, and from
it looks she's as well celebrating Tinubu's winning. Look at her.
I call it the Balaboo earring. The Balaboo earring. Now, Annabel, from all of us, from all of us in KAFTAN TV, Hausa, English, and Yoruba, KAFTAN TV Lagos, Ondo, and Abuja, we're wishing you a very happy birthday. On this day, we pray that all of your heart's desires comes into fruition. Many happy returns. Happy birthday in good health and wealth. Once again, happy birthday to you, Annabel.
Happy birthday, Annabel. We all love you.
Yeah, we all love you. And this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of your number one TV program. The prayers coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. Do well to have a very fruitful day and week ahead of you. I remember how Francis Adeniyi.
Okay, so I really have been ambushed, like I said, but it's all good. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful time having this show with you, and thank you for being there. Thank you for the calls. We're sorry we can't take any of your calls anymore. Time is fast spent. I will see you again tomorrow. Keep watching KAFTAN Television. My name is still Annabel Orji. Good morning, Nigerians.